Hey everyone, Ariel Adams here with aBlogtoWatch. Please subscribe to our videos on YouTube and like this video if you find it useful. This is a review of the Jacob & Company Epic X Chrono. There's two versions here. There is the titanium with ceramic bezel, and there is the 18 karat rose or red gold in with also white ceramic, 47 millimeters wide, and interestingly enough, of course, it's not the only one, but it's a Jacob & Company watch without any diamonds. Jacob & Company is actually one of my favorite watchmakers because they really celebrate the fact that watches are artistic, meant to be statement pieces, meant to be status symbols, and meant to be things that make you feel good in addition to being cool. This movement is made exclusively for Jacob & Company by Concepto. It is a time-only 60-minute chronograph with a column wheel. Cool skeletonized look. You can see right through the dial there. It's an automatic. Great look and movement. And it should be for this price, I have to say. Jacob & Company has a long history of working with really great suppliers, including Concepto, among others, to make movements. They've made all kinds of interesting and exotic movements. This is actually, in terms of Jacob & Company watches, one of the more basic movements they make because they make some truly outrageous movements for some truly outrageous prices. The Epic X is based on the Epic X chronograph is based upon the larger Epic X collection, and this is probably the biggest one, again at 47 millimeters wide. I'll put it on, you can see. It's very comfortable though. I really like this strap. It's a nice white rubber strap, and there's this this segment here, which is perforated with these hexagon cuts, and it makes it kind of a little bit spongy, which I like because it's a very thick strap, and it's a lovely texture, but also air gets through there. So you can wear this watch like for many, many hours and not even feel it's there, even though it is quite large. The design is very interesting. It's obviously focusing on this kind of X pattern here with these two lines that start with the lugs and continue into the dial, and they form sort of an X if you look at it this way. That's where sort of the Epic X part of the name comes from. There's an interesting feature here where you push this in and you can turn an internal rotating bezel, so you have a timing bezel, and that's pretty cool. Not necessarily something you have to use, but a good reason to have a crown right there. Oddly enough, the space right underneath it is just kind of empty. So here's the gold one, it would be the same on the titanium. Here's the crown for the internal rotating bezel, and this part kind of feels like one of those areas on a car where a button should be, and they're like planning on it, but it's not there yet. So that's kind of a quirk, but again, in terms of the design, if this section was not here, it would probably not look as balanced, and I think that it was a good idea to put at least something here. The gold version is really cool because of the green sapphire crystal underneath the main dial. So the main dial was obviously a clear sapphire crystal, and then there's a dial, and underneath it is another semi-transparent disc in green. The same style watch is also available in red, and there's actually a nice variety of Epic X chronographs out there. Attention to detail, like I said, is quite good, as it should be for a price of this level. Now, what kind of watch is this? This is a luxury lifestyle sport watch. What does that mean? Well, it's not really a sport watch in the sense that you probably shouldn't go off-roading in it. You probably shouldn't get it really that wet. Well, it's actually water resistant 200 meters. So in a sense, it is sportier. And you could do things like go diving with it, but it's really not about that. It's more about sending a message of masculinity, strength, and macho-ness. But at the same time, a brand like Jacob & Company wants a watch like this to be recognizable. And I think the Epic X collection, including the Epic X Chrono, which is here, is that it can acquire that distinctiveness. It has potential to do that because this is a distinctive design. Maybe the brand needs to go a little bit further in marketing it or giving it a personality. One of the interesting things, for example, is the fact that you can't even really see the logo here. Right underneath this section here where 12 o'clock is a Jacob & Company logo, but it's in red. It's a little bit easier to see here, but in the scheme of the fact that Jacob & Company is not a particularly discreet brand, this is actually one of the company's slightly more discreet models, especially when it comes to understanding what company it comes from. There's a lot of very popular and also very expensive luxury lifestyle sport watches out there, And I think it's sort of a stepping stone in a lot of brands to have a collection which sort of fits in that category. The hope is that people will wear it not necessarily for sport, but also not necessarily as a traditional dress watch, right? It's meant for people who live a more leisure existence and would prefer hanging out and being active and dressing with short sleeves rather than someone who's a little bit more buttoned up. But Jacob & Company has watches for those people as well. Prices for the watch start at about, I believe, $22,000 for the titanium model. Oh, I also want to say what's interesting is that the bezel here, even though it's ceramic, it's not one piece, it's 4 distinct pieces that are meant to fit in nicely. I thought that was cool. So again, about 22,000 bucks, I believe, for the titanium version of the Epic X Chrono. And I think that goes up to about $34,000 or $36,000 for the gold model. And there's other models as well. You can see the full review of the Jacob & Company Epic X Chrono on aBlogtoWatch soon. Thanks.